that will be one of the problems we will address ourselves to tonight. It may be that it would have to be disclosed so that everyone wouldn't be suspect.
How can you be sure the $5,000 is coming from a source other than even illegal means?
Well, I can't be sure of anything when I don't know where it comes from. I do say that when you ask me that pointed question, you'd have to ask Charles Story. He knows where the funds are coming, and he can answer you whether it's legal or illegal. I don't know.
But as a board member, don't you think you should know?
Well, I feel of my own mind that I'd be willing to operate without knowledge of where it came from, because if I don't know where it came from, then I am not going to be influenced by anything. On the other hand, if people think that there is the possibility of influence undisclosed, then that would be of greater importance.
Then do you feel that what you don't know won't hurt you?
In this case, it's a case of not wanting to know. If you choose, it's not a case of failing to inquire. It's just a question of these two things. But this is going to be decided tonight, and at this point I have the feeling, running in both directions, we'll decide as a group tonight what our choice is.
One of the greatest criticisms that comes of a project like this in some circles is that anytime you build something like this, you're building a glorified slum. What is your view of that?
We hope that the Lou Bear Management Company, of which I'm a part, will take the necessary steps to keep this sort of thing from happening. One of the reasons that the Bear and Company was approached to participate with Lou Bear was that we've had a great deal of management experience, and in that management experience has come the idea of not letting property deteriorate, but in maintaining it properly. And we hope that's what happens here. We're going to take every effort to see that it does.
I think the President certainly was justified in chiding the Congress. We dragged on right up through January the 2nd. We failed to accomplish a lot that we should have accomplished. There's still appropriation measures that haven't been acted on, and we're already over 6 months into fiscal 71 and haven't even finished all the appropriation bills, and I think that's a pretty sorry track record. And I think that the blame must be laid to a number of ambitious Democrats primarily in the Congress who simply use the Congress as a forum to air their own views.
From a Mexican-American point of view, what good is the LULAC project doing?
Well, for one thing, it will provide the housing that's needed by the people in the community. And secondly, it's a way of showing that organizations like LULAC do recognize the problems of the people, and they try to do something about them.
Because it's a Mexican-American corporation, will there be any preference on who gets to move in here?
No, no.
What do you see for the future?
Well, for the future, we see more housing projects such as this one, and perhaps out of these housing projects, we would also develop other capabilities within our own people.
If the problem arises that we can cut without cutting the muscle from the fat, yes. I will never advocate cutting the muscle, because what we are faced with in this country perhaps today is a deal of emotionalism generated by a lack of knowledge and pure ignorance when screaming about cutting our military budget. My position on the military budget is what is best for the country and how best we can secure the country and its defense. Economy, dollars and cents means nothing to me.
Congressman, with all the fine equipment in the world, we have no muscle without men. Do you feel that we can maintain that muscle with a volunteer army?
I don't think we can ever have a volunteer army. I think a volunteer army is something we all hope for. I'd welcome. I would be very happy to use it. I don't think it's feasible.
Then you think this is the pipe dream of the Nixon administration?
You are using words that I don't use. I'd say this is an objective of the Nixon administration the president is very much in favor of. I wouldn't classify it as a pipe dream. I'd say it's a laudatory objective. I don't think it can be accomplished.
In the past 3 years, we've had trouble with the war on poverty programs throughout the United States. Do you feel that these problems are beginning to be solved now?
No. I think those problems are not beginning to be solved now. I think we wasted billions of dollars in rat holes that never actually reached the needs of the poor. There are a lot of people who had big jobs, big positions, but the poor got poorer and poorer, and some of these jobs got bigger and fatter.
Well, if you feel this way, why do you feel that OIC then is going to go ahead further than it has been?
Because OIC is the people. We are the people. It was created by the people. It wasn't created by the government. I created this program with the help of God and people across this country who believed in self-help, who believed that people must first help themselves. So I want my workers to be paid. I want them to be paid well. They know they're not working for a paycheck. They're working to help people to rise.
There's been a lot of publicity in the newspapers lately about the difference in their rates, particularly that they're lowering their rates. And I think there's probably a little bit of misconception about how they compute their rates. If you as a consumer were to borrow from a New York bank, say $1,000 for 12 months, they would compute their interest rate on that $1,000 and deduct it in advance so that you'd receive something less than $1,000. Actually, the amount of interest.
In other words, if it was a 5% loan for an automobile purchase, you borrowed $1,000, you would in actuality get $950.
That's correct. While here in Dallas, you would have the full use of the $1,000, or your total note would be $1,050.
Main thing that we're reporting on is the fact that counties ought to have some ordinance-making power to enable them to deal with day-to-day problems. Presently, they're straitjacketed by a 1876 Constitution. we're asking that the legislature give them power to enact ordinances in the area of health care, public safety, and general welfare, and things of this nature, so that counties can deal with problems without having to wait 18 months to 2 years to go back to the legislature and say we need a special bill to handle this particular little problem. The theory is that the more government can be handled locally at home, the better and more attentive government will be to the needs of the people, particularly in urban areas. Another thing, we're talking about recommending that the legislature include counties in on a share of any revenue that might be generated by the sale of liquor by the drink in their areas. The sale of liquor by the drink is going to cause some additional problems to county government, particularly in the administration of the laws and the licensing and that sort of thing. And we feel it's only fair that county government should be entitled to share in some of the proceeds from the tax, which will inevitably be imposed upon liquor by the drink.
We have had some 70 some odd drownings on this reservoir since the Liberty and Falmouth water, some 18 years ago. We had 5 drownings on Lake Grapevine last year. These drownings can be attributed to, in most cases, carelessness or disregard for current regulations.
What happened when you went back to the car lot with your friend to